Do you want to know the secrets to get into a flow state easily every day? I call them secrets because these flow state techniques are not well known. Time to debunk the biggest myth about getting into a flow state. It's not really about pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. It's more mental than that. Think of it as being in the right mood for flow or being in a good mood for flow. The truth is, we all get into a flow state easily on occasion. And you've probably been there many times without even realizing it. That's why I'm not calling it a myth, it really happens. But apparently, hardly anyone knows how to do it intentionally. So let me tell you right now how to get into a flow state easily every day. Hello and welcome to another Psychology Shark video. In today's video, I want to talk about something really important for all of us who are looking for more fulfillment in life. If you're like me, there's always been something missing, some level of meaning that we just can't seem to reach. A flow state is an altered mental state in which you feel completely focused, intensely motivated, and totally engaged with the task at hand. It's like being in the zone when performance seems effortless and success comes much faster than normal. And it's different from your normal energy level because it's much more intense and immersive. Now, this is one of my superpowers. I've spent years learning from the best and researching flow because it's so important to me, and I'm going to tell you the best ways to get into a flow state easily every day. Here's what you can expect to hear in this video. Number 1, how flow is like being the star of your own movie. Number 2, what flow and peak performance have in common. And number 3, how to use these 7 powerful techniques to get into the flow state easily every day. I hope you enjoy it and I'll see you on the other side. Imagine a life in which you can achieve everything faster, 400 times faster, where you're so focused on your work, it would feel like you are the main character in your own movie. Well, that's exactly what flow is like, as you've seen it in movies or read about it in books. It's when the right challenge meets the right person at exactly the right moment and everything just falls into place. This is that moment where you know you're exactly on target, when everything falls into place effortlessly, when every action leads to the next, and when the positive feedback keeps looping back to your mind and body. When you look around, it's clear that flow is a superpower, a totally different level of performance than we normally see. Professionals like athletes and performers have been getting into flow states for decades, and they use the same methods that you can use to achieve peak performance. But here's the problem with these classic approaches to getting into a flow state. They're very hard to do. It's like trying to become a good basketball player without ever practicing or playing. I'm going to teach you how to get into a flow state easily every day. In fact, I'll argue that it's not just easy, you can do it on command and whenever you want with these techniques. And the best part is, when you get into a flow state easily every day, you'll be able to do everything faster, work smarter, get more done in less time, and make more money. I'm going to show you how to use these 7 powerful techniques to achieve peak performance. Let's get started. Technique number 1, listen to music while working on your task. One of the best ways to get into a flow state is by listening to fast tempo music as you work. When you combine fast tempo music with a specific task, your brain starts to lock in and focus on the present moment. Think of it as sensory deprivation, except that instead of blocking out all senses except one, like sight or sound, our brains are actually more focused by letting in multiple stimuli at once. And this is why fast tempo music helps us get into a flow state easily every day. You can use this technique in all kinds of ways. For example, if you're working on an article and need to research some information, listen to music while doing both things at the same time. Or if you need to do some math or machine repair, working with music will help you get into a flow state easily every day. Technique number 2, set goals and identify your milestones. This is a technique that professional athletes and performers have used for decades, but it can also work the same way for you as long as you use it wisely. Basically, when you're setting goals or milestones, you want to make sure they are just beyond your reach. You want to be able to get them, but just barely. The reason why this is a powerful technique for getting into a flow state easily every day is that you're going beyond the comfort zone, and thus your mind and body are forced to produce results that are out of the ordinary. And when that happens, your brain starts producing all these novel neurochemicals like dopamine, which will keep you focused on the task at hand. Technique number 3, if you get frustrated, keep going. The biggest problem people have with getting into flow is what we sometimes call the frustration of failure. This means that when you're working towards one goal or task and it doesn't come easily to you, you give up quickly because it isn't working. This is the wrong approach. If you keep trying to do something, you'll get better at it. It's the same approach that we hear all the time for people who want to lose weight or improve their health in some other way. Just keep pushing and eventually things will start improving. And this technique applies equally well when you're trying to get into a flow state easily every day. It's just a simple fact that you first need to start doing something before you can get better at it. So if you find yourself struggling in the beginning, just keep going. Don't give up until you've accomplished your goal. Technique number 4, set a timer to work in 30-minute sprints with a 5-minute break between each sprint. This is another technique used by performers and athletes for decades because it's so effective at getting you into a flow state easily every day. Basically, when you work without any breaks for long periods of time, you're unlikely to get into a flow state because your mind can't keep up with the demands of work. But when you use timers and set 30-minute sprints, it takes some of your focus off the task at hand and liberates your mind so that you can concentrate better on specific tasks. And when I say liberates your mind, that's exactly what I mean. It's like you've built a dam and now the water is flowing in its normal direction. The best way to use this technique for getting into a flow state easily every day is by setting up a timer on your phone or laptop. And then, when it goes off, walk away from your desk for 5 minutes and do something else. When you come back after that break, your mind will be fresh and clear, primed for a new sprint. Technique number 5, have a routine. Routines are powerful because they take a lot of the decision-making process out of your day. And when you do less, you're much more likely to get into a flow state easily every day. Using routines also makes it easier to focus on work and performance because it takes some of the thinking ability from your brain. You don't have to decide what you should be doing because it's already done. Much of this is based on the idea that we're more creative when we're doing less. This means that you can be much more creative and thus get into a flow state easily every day. In other words, when you have a routine and clear goals, your mind isn't fighting itself. It knows what it should be doing so it can put its full energy toward getting it done. A routine has cues that trigger a certain behavior, and if you do it enough times, it becomes automatic. For example, when I go to the gym every morning, it's a trigger that prompts me to do one thing: put on my workout clothes and sneakers. And once I've done that routine for a few months, doing it every day has become effortless. It's become an instinctual behavior. Technique number 6, work in an environment that is helpful for productivity. In other words, make sure there are no distractions, no temptations, and no factors that would make it difficult to stay on task. Work in an environment where you feel comfortable and get into a flow state easily every day. You don't want any triggers or cues around you that remind you of other activities. Whatever messes up your concentration should be eliminated from your immediate environment. Another technique that can be used is to change your environment every 30 minutes or so that you're always working in a novel place with fresh eyes. It's almost the same concept as changing your routine. When you do something new and different, it's easier to get into a flow state because you have no expectations of what will happen. Technique number 7, rest. Yes, rest. On top of your breaks, which I like to call pit stops, you will need some rest periods during the week. Rest is just as important as working in a flow state because you want to give your brain time to process what happened and plan for the future. The way I recommend resting is by completely unplugging and seeking new experiences. If you're constantly connected to the internet, your brain can't really relax and figure out how to become more effective. So that's why I recommend taking some sort of vacation where you unplug as much as possible and then come back with a fresh perspective. Doing this allows you to get into a flow state easily every day because you're giving your brain time to rest. This means that you don't have to worry about the future or even getting distracted by other tasks and projects. You can just take a break from life and then come back with an idea of how to do things better. See, when we try to approach flow as a good thing, it's very hard to get into it. We seek that feeling, but then we're trying too hard, and that's why most people never reach flow state. There are some very particular things you have to do in order to get there, and if you can learn those strategies and put them in place, then flow will be something that happens every day without even trying. And when you do this, you can get into flow state easily every day, and that's what we're aiming for in the long run. What are some ways you've found to get into a flow state easily every day? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you want more videos to help you achieve more, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.